Good afternoon, all. I'm Tim Cawley, President Con Edison. Thanks for joining us. So I'll give you an update where I am today, and I've mentioned it over the last few days. I'm in our Corporate Emergency Response Center, our CERC. If you can see behind my shoulder, there's big screens and maps, and this is really the central hub of activity. The entire company gets together with the singular focus of restoring customers safely and quickly. And so what we do here is plan and manage and coordinate and handle logistics so that the crews in the field can get out and efficiently and safely restore and then move on to the next job. I'll give you an update on where we are with the restoration efforts, and in a little bit I'll provide some of the figures. But first, to our customers, this is day 4. The storm blew through on Tuesday afternoon and really wreaked havoc on the system, tremendous tree damage. We still have customers without power. It's difficult over a short period of time to be without power, and this is an extended period. We are doing everything we can to restore power as quickly as we can. We recognize the hardship that our customers go through, and that's why we have this singular focus on efficiently and effectively restoring service. So I'll give you a quick update on where we stand. Just to sort of level set, 300,000 customers were impacted by this storm. Only Superstorm Sandy exceeded that in terms of impact to the customers we serve. That blew through on Tuesday afternoon, and it impacted 180,000 in New York City and 120,000 customers in Westchester County. As I mentioned, the high winds, 70 mile an hour gusts and 50+ mile an hour sustained winds really took down trees and limbs, and those caused significant damage to our overhead distribution system, the poles and wires and transformers. I was in the field today, and I've been in the business for a while. This is really significant damage. The crews are doing a terrific job. In terms of numbers, we've restored 230 of the 300 customers impacted. And in the New York City, Westchester breakdown, in New York City, there are 27,000 customers that remain without lights. And in Westchester County, 44,000. We serve a customer base of 3.5 million. So we're working diligently to restore power to those 27,000 New York City customers and 44,000 Westchester customers. We're not going to quit, obviously, and we're going around the clock until we get the very last one. Customers can expect restorations as follows. In New York City, we expect to complete restorations on Sunday night, and in Westchester County on Monday. And in both cases, there might be some scattered small outages that extend into the next day as we work through and make repairs. In terms of crewing, we have more than 3,000 people in the field working around the clock with this singular focus, restoration of customers. 1,700 of those folks are our Con Edison employees. And then we brought in 1,300 contractors from the local region and from afar to assist in the restoration. On this pass, we're also leveraging technology more than we have in the past. Part of the storm restoration process, on the front end, we want to make safe, address wires down, keep people away from them. But then we send crews out into the field to assess what the damage is. We understand what customers are out, but we also need to know what happened to the circuit so we can effect repairs. So these damage assessors now have technology, an app, where they can report from a location, put a pin drop down, take a photo, add comments to the damage, and all of that information seamlessly runs into our outage management system, where our engineers work 24/7 to understand the outage and generate package, material requirements, and staffing for each of these jobs. It really took away a paper-driven process that we've used in the past. The other place we're using technology is we are deploying smart meters across the system. And really what the smart meters do is they allow us to know in real time the status of a customer's service. We'll know if you're out or in. And knowing that, we can make efficient use of the truck rolls. Sometimes we'll get a report that somebody's out. We can do a check and make sure that that is in fact the case and they hadn't previously been restored. So we use the smart meters to make things more efficient. All in all, this is a total company effort. It's IT, it's logistics, it's sourcing, it's certainly our operations folks who have done a terrific job working on their safety, the public safety, and the restoration of this of the customers. In addition to restoring customers, we're communicating with our customers. And I have often said customers want their electricity back first and foremost. A very close second is they want to know when. And we've worked hard at doing our best to inform customers about that. In terms of individuals with health issues on emergency equipment, we have a process where we make daily outbound calls to check on them. And during this event, we've made over 800,000 calls of that nature. We've also issued estimated times of restoration. And if you go to our website, you can see the status of your job. Many of our customers are using technology, reporting their outage with texts online or through our automated voice response unit. If you report an outage that way, we can reach back to you in that same fashion. So we can text you your estimated restoration time, or we can text you when we've restored your power. So really encourage folks to register their outage so that we know it, but importantly, so that we can create a very direct line of communication with our customers. In terms of dry ice, we continue to distribute in Westchester, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx. We have Con Edison personnel in a van there to respond to questions. All of those sites and the specifics are on our website, coned.com, so I encourage you to go there. And lastly, claims for food spoilage. This has come up a bit, and we recognize, as I mentioned at the start, being without power even for a short period is really an incredible hardship. We understand that, and that's why we work so hard around the clock to restore as quickly as we can. Those power outages in the context of COVID-19, particularly in the service area we provide electricity, gas, and steam to, sort of increases the impact. COVID-19 has been an incredible impact worldwide, countrywide, and certainly in our area. So to help out under these trying times, we've expanded our claims program and policy so that customers who've been out of lights can file a claim. The details of that claim filing process are on our website, but I wanted to let you know that. It's a tough time for our customers, and we really want to step out and help out those during these really challenging periods. So with that, I'm happy to take some questions.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And again, if you have a question for Con Ed President Tim Cawley, go to the participants button, raise your hand, and we're going to please ask you to state your full name and your news organization, and we're going to ask you to bear with us and bear with me as I try to unmute you as quickly as I can. We're going to go now to Steve Burns. Steve, can you unmute yourself? There you go, Steve.
Great, thank you very much. Steve Burns at WCBS 880. Just wanted to clarify, get a few more details if they're available on the food spoilage situation. Is there going to be a verification process for that? Is there a maximum amount that Con Ed is giving to each customer? And just secondly, on a unrelated topic, just if you could address the many kind of politicians and accusations that Con Ed was just in general not prepared for this situation.
Yeah, so first, two-part question, and thanks for the question. On the claims, really best to go right to the website. There's some detail there. It's similar to the way we've administered claims in the past, and really it's about us trying to help out the customers we serve in a time of need, particularly given COVID and all that's happening. So we think it's the appropriate thing to do, and we want to help our customers. But for the details, they're all laid out in very clear fashion on the website. And on the other question, I'm really, myself, the entire CERC team, all of our folks in the field are really just focused on the restoration at this point. And that's consuming, and it should be consuming, and that has consumed all of our efforts.
Okay, thanks, Tim. We're going to go to Corey James. Corey, can you unmute yourself?
Hey, Tim. My name's Corey James. I'm with Channel 2 WCBS. A question for you. In terms of the numbers, I know that you said there's about 300,000 customers impacted right now. Is there a possibility that number is higher? Are you confident that is the number? We've heard that some, I guess, local officials are kind of looking into the numbers and concerned that perhaps more people are without power.
Yes, so let me read back the numbers to make sure we've got them right. So when the storm rolled through on Tuesday afternoon, it impacted 300,000 of our customers. So there were 300,000 customer interruptions. They ran from Staten Island all the way to northern Westchester. So we served 3.5 million customers. 300,000 of those customers were impacted and lost their power as a result of this storm. we've worked over the last several days to restore power, and we've gotten it down, and I'll check my notes. So currently there are 71,000 customers out. We've restored power to around 230,000, and we are now working to restore power to the remaining 70,000 that are without power. And really, we have models. We use our AMI data and customer calls to pull together and understand the impact of the storm and get the counts. So it's really a computer system that takes in the calls and maps them out across our circuit maps, and that's how we determine the number. And that's supplemented with our smart meter data. So we're really comfortable with the number. And again, 300,000 to start. We've restored 230 over the course of the last few days, and now we continue to diligently work to get those last 70,000 connected and in power.
Thank you, Tim. The next question is from Jennifer Peltz of the Associated Press. Jennifer?
Hi, can you hear me, or am I muted?
I can hear you. You're doing great. Thanks.
Great. I guess I wanted to ask, although I heard you when you said you were focused very much on the restoration at this point, do you have any thoughts about how this can be avoided in the future? I think people were taken a bit by surprise at the damage that could be done by a tropical storm, let alone something stronger. And there are still trees out there, so what can be done?
Yeah, so we do, and after every event, one of our core values here is continuous improvement. After every event, we will review it and be constructively critical to try to get better the next time. We have taken a lot of steps to improve the resiliency and response of the system. We invest about $3 billion a year in our energy delivery systems. And for the overhead system, which is really impacted by the trees that are there and the weather that will invariably come, in the overhead system in Westchester and throughout the territory, but it's largely an overhead system in Westchester, we invest over $25 million with the sole focus on hardening the system for resiliency during storms. So what does that mean? It means installing additional electronic smart switches more frequently, so that if a tree came down in the past, it would fault the circuit would come down, and maybe 1,000 customers would be impacted. If we install these smart switches, that tree damage can be isolated to a much smaller segment of customers, and maybe 200 to 500 might be impacted. So we're avoiding outages right from the start. Less people lose electricity, and we're restoring less as a result. We're also putting new equipment in the air, new types of cable, stronger poles. In small cases, when we do risk assessments, we'll do short pieces of undergrounding of cable. It's very expensive to do it, but in the right applications, it can really mitigate risk. So for example, if we have 2 circuits on the same pole line and they're critical circuits, it behooves us and it mitigates risk if we put one of them underground, such that we'll always have one to serve our customers. So we continue to invest heavily in both technology on the system and in infrastructure to make it more resilient. We also work a lot on our response. I talked about the damage assessment app. That used to be a paper-driven process, and now it's an app, and it's a pin drop and a photo and some comments, and the engineers, it flows right into the job. So that helps speed things up as well.
Let's go to David Cruz of Gothamist. David Cruz, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you very much. My one question is, you had mentioned the 27,000 still without power. Do you have a borough breakdown of what the outstanding numbers are? And then I'm curious, how problematic were these trees in some portions of the borough? And is that the reason why there's it's going to take a long time to get some of the power back?
Yeah, so the breakdown is very specific on our outage map, and I'm a little bit hesitant to throw numbers at you. Queens has the most out, followed by the Bronx, a few thousand in Staten Island, and virtually none in Brooklyn. But best to go to the outage map or check with Jamie on the way out, and we'll give you precise numbers on where we stand. But it sort of rolls up to 27. Probably 70% of that is in Queens and the Bronx. And again, we've got crews there. I talked about the 3,000 crews that are working this. We put crewing commensurate with the level of activity. So we've got lots of crewing in those boroughs. And again, we expect to get the vast majority of the New York City customers back, virtually all, by tomorrow night. and similarly on Monday night for Westchester. The trees are really the issue. The wind does not impact our poles or wires. They're built to high standards. They don't capture the wind. They're not like sails. So it's when the trees and the limbs collide or fall into our infrastructure is when we run into lots of trouble. And it's an arduous process. The way the restoration process goes is we assign jobs where the effort will yield the most customers restored in the beginning. So we'll list the various jobs and we'll go out on the highest jobs first. So we can send 3 crews, and if they work, they might restore 800 customers. As you work down the list, where we are now, you're assigning crews to do lots of work, a similar amount of work, for far fewer customer restorations. And that's why sort of this end piece is a bit of a grind, but it's something we've gone through in storms. We're prepared for, we recognize it's part of the process, and we continue to work at it.
I think we have a follow-up question from Steve Burns at CBS Radio.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quick on a separate question on the outages yesterday morning, Friday morning in Manhattan and Queens. Has that been determined to be storm related or something else?
So in Queens, we had some weather roll through, and in Queens, we had some outage on the overhead system, completely independent from the storm on Tuesday, but it happens on a distribution system. And so we responded and we were able to restore customers in fairly short order. So it happens occasionally and really weather driven, but not driven by the storm from earlier in the week. Again, we sort of 3.5 million outages occur occasionally. We look to prevent them, but it was more of a typical and not related to the storm early in the week. The Manhattan outage was something different. It had to do with a transmission disturbance in one of our substations in Queens, and that Queens substation supplies the networks in part of Manhattan, and we lost that supply. We isolated it, and it was a short outage. I think it happened. I know it happened at 5:13 a.m., and we had everybody restored by 5:45. So our engineers and operators continue to understand exactly what happened in that case. And once we determine that if there's corrective action we need to take, we'll do that.
Let's get a last question in quickly from Corey James at CBS TV.
Hey, Tim. So last question. Anything you'd want to say to customers, perhaps listening to you right now, who are just growing with frustration as the days go on, without electricity, without lights, and feel like they're paying for services that aren't being delivered?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. And absolutely, we understand the frustration. It is difficult to go without electricity for this period of time, and we recognize it. And it's for that reason that we bring crews in from all over the country to expedite the repair. We look and plan to pull these outages in by hours if we can, because we know the hardship. We also have focused on communication with our customers. It doesn't solve the problem, but it can help to know when to expect to go back. So I would say to them, we understand it. Please know that we've got a huge dedicated group of employees who really are in this business for that reason, to provide reliable service to our customers. And we're not going to stop till we get it done.
Any final thoughts or any last words for us, Tim Cawley, before we wrap up?
No, just appreciate you folks getting on. We want to be able to communicate with our customers, and this is a really great avenue for us to get word out. So thanks for joining.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Con Ed President Tim Cawley, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks all.